Listen carefully, my beloved child, because this is not something you accidentally clicked on. This is an interruption, a divine interruption, and you only have a short window to receive what is being released to you right now. Do not scroll away, do not delay, because something urgent is trying to reach you in this very moment. There is a message coming through with authority, and it carries both warning and protection. You may feel a sudden stillness, a tightening in your chest, or an unexplainable pull to keep listening. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. And before you question it, understand this: you were guided here on purpose. Archangel Michael stands as a protector in this moment, but there is also someone you love, someone who has already crossed into eternity, who has been trying to get your attention. Their presence is not to frighten you, but to warn you gently and urgently. Something almost shifted in the wrong direction, and you did not even realize how close it came. Stay with me right now, because in the next moments you will begin to understand why this could not wait. There is a difference between missing a message and missing a turning point, and what is being revealed to you sits right on that line. You are not here by accident, and you are not meant to ignore this. In just a moment, the reason behind this urgency will become clear, and when it does, you will see exactly what you were being protected from and why this message had to reach you now. Before you move on, let your spirit settle and pay attention, because what you are about to hear will shift your awareness and prepare you for what comes next now. You are still here, and that alone tells me something important. You did not stumble into this moment by accident, and you are not listening to these words randomly. There is a reason this message found you at this exact time, in this exact state of mind, carrying exactly what you have been feeling. Maybe you have noticed it, the heaviness that comes without warning, the quiet pressure in your chest, or the way your thoughts have been circling the same concerns again and again. Some moments you feel strong, and then suddenly there is a dip, a stillness, or even a strange sense that something is shifting just beneath the surface. You may have tried to explain it away, telling yourself it is stress or exhaustion, but deep inside you knew there was something more. That inner knowing is not your imagination. It is your spirit responding to movement in the unseen, where alignment and interference are both trying to reach you. This is where you must understand the difference between randomness and divine orchestration. What feels scattered on the surface is often precise beneath it. The timing, the emotions, even the questions you have been asking are all connected in ways you cannot yet fully see. You were not pulled here to be confused, you were guided here to be reminded. Reminded that you are not alone in what you are carrying, and that what you feel is not meaningless. There is communication happening, gentle but persistent, calling your attention back to something you have almost overlooked. And that is why you feel this weight, not as a burden meant to break you, but as a signal meant to awaken you. Something has been pressing closer, not to harm you, but to get your attention before a moment passes you by. If you ignore it, it fades into confusion, but if you lean in, it becomes clarity. So stay with me, because what you have been feeling is not without meaning, and it is not without direction. There is a reason the pressure increased, a reason the emotions intensified, and a reason this message reached you right now. In the next part, you will begin to understand what has been building behind the scenes, and why this weight has followed you so closely. Do not dismiss this feeling yet, because its true source is about to be revealed. Now that you have allowed yourself to recognize what you have been feeling, it is time to understand it more clearly, because confusion has been one of the greatest weights on you. You have been walking through moments that did not make sense, delays that felt unnecessary, and patterns that seemed to repeat no matter how much effort you put into breaking them. There were times when you thought you were finally moving forward, only to find yourself pulled back again. Opportunities came close, then shifted. People entered your life with promise, then revealed something different. Plans you felt certain about began to unravel in ways you could not explain. And slowly, without realizing it, you began to question yourself. But listen carefully, my beloved child, because this is where clarity must replace confusion. What you have been experiencing is not simply a series of unfortunate events. It has been a pattern, and patterns do not form without influence. There has been movement around you, both seen and unseen, creating resistance at the exact points where you were meant to advance. This is why the weight has felt so personal. It was not just about what happened, but how consistently it happened. The emotional toll came from repetition. From asking yourself why the same type of delay, the same type of disappointment, the same kind of pressure kept returning, even when you changed your approach. You were not imagining it. You were discerning it without having the full language to explain it. And because you could not fully name it, it created confusion instead of clarity. You began to carry not only the experiences, but the questions attached to them. There is a difference between a closed door meant for redirection and a repeated obstruction designed to wear you down. What you have faced has carried both elements, which is why it has been so difficult to interpret. Some things were protection, quietly redirecting you away from what would not serve you. But other moments carried resistance that was not meant to guide you, but to exhaust you. And this is where the emotional weight comes from. Not just from what happened, but from the constant tension between hope and disappointment. Moving forward, then being pulled back. Trusting, then questioning. Believing, then feeling uncertain again. You have been standing in the middle of a storm that did not fully reveal its source. And when a storm has no clear origin, it creates disorientation. It makes you wonder if the problem is within you, when in truth, much of what you have faced has been happening around you. So let this bring you clarity now. You are not as stuck as it felt. You are not as off track as you feared. There has been interference mixed with protection, and that mixture created the confusion you have been carrying. But stay with me, because now that you can see the pattern, the next question becomes even more important. What exactly has been working behind the scenes to create this resistance, and how close did it come to changing your path? Now that you can recognize the pattern, you must also be willing to face the truth behind it, because what has been happening around you was not neutral. There has been interference, subtle at times and overwhelming at others, attempting to shift your direction without you fully realizing it. This is not shared to create fear, but to awaken awareness, because awareness is what breaks the power of what tries to remain hidden. There were moments when you felt unusually drained after certain conversations, times when your clarity suddenly clouded without a clear reason, and situations where your instincts told you something was not right, yet you could not fully explain why. Those were not random feelings. They were signals, quiet warnings trying to reach your attention before something deeper could take hold. Understand this clearly, my beloved child, not every delay was protection alone. Some of the resistance you faced carried intention behind it. There were influences, both spiritual and situational, that attempted to discourage you, distract you, or redirect you away from where you were meant to step forward. It did not always come in obvious forms. Sometimes it appeared as doubt, sometimes through the words or actions of others, and sometimes through sudden confusion at critical moments. What makes this important is not just that it happened, but how close it came to shifting something significant in your path. There was a moment, and you may remember it even now, where a single decision could have taken you into a direction that would have been much harder to return from. You stood at a point where exhaustion, frustration, or pressure could have caused you to settle, to accept less, or to move in alignment with something that was not truly meant for you. But you did not fully cross that line, and that matters more than you realize. Even in your uncertainty, something held you back. Even when clarity was limited, there was a pause, a hesitation, or a disruption that prevented you from committing to what could have pulled you further away from your true path. This is where danger begins to transform into awareness. Because what almost happened did not fully happen. What tried to take root did not fully take hold. And the reason is not your strength alone, but the presence of protection that intervened even when you could not see it. Still, you must not ignore the reality of the interference itself. When something attempts to influence your direction repeatedly, it reveals that your path carries significance. Resistance often increases around what matters most. And what has been trying to distract or discourage you has not been without awareness of your potential. So do not dismiss what you have sensed, and do not minimize how close certain moments felt. You were not imagining the pressure, and you were not overreacting to the shifts you could not explain. There was more happening beneath the surface than what you were allowed to fully see. But stay with me, because understanding the warning is only part of what you need. The deeper question is this: what protected you in those critical moments, and how were you shielded in ways you never even recognized? Now that you have seen how close certain moments came to shifting your path, you must also understand something that changes everything. You were not left exposed in those moments. You were not unguarded, even when you felt vulnerable. There has been protection surrounding you, consistent and intentional, even when you could not see it clearly. Archangel Michael has not been distant from your situation. He has been present within it, standing as both shield and sword, not only defending you from what you could recognize, but also from what you could not yet perceive. Where you felt uncertain, there was covering. Where you felt weak, there was strength placed around you. And where you felt alone, there was intervention happening quietly on your behalf. Think back to the times when something suddenly did not work out, even though you were sure it would. The plans that fell apart at the last minute. The connections that seemed promising but unexpectedly distanced. The opportunities that slipped through your hands just as you reached for them. At the time, it felt like loss. It felt like delay. It even felt like disappointment that you could not fully understand. But now, you are being shown a different perspective. Not everything that left you was meant to harm you. Not everything that closed was meant to limit you. Some of those moments were acts of protection, precise and necessary, redirecting you away from paths that would have carried deeper consequences. Protection does not always feel like safety in the moment. Sometimes it feels like interruption. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like something being taken away. But what you see as loss can also be a shield placed between you and something that would have cost you far more. There were also moments when you hesitated without knowing why. A decision you delayed. A conversation you avoided. A step you almost took but didn't fully commit to. Those pauses were not weakness. They were guidance. A subtle resistance placed within you to keep you from moving too quickly into something that was not aligned. Archangel Michael's protection is not only external, it also works through your instincts, your discernment, and even your discomfort. That uneasy feeling you could not explain was often the sword cutting through illusion, separating truth from what only appeared to be right. You were never as unprotected as it felt. Even when the storm surrounded you, there was a boundary that could not be crossed. Even when interference tried to move closer, there was a line it could not fully break through. And that is why you are still here, still standing, still able to receive this message. So begin to reframe what you have called setbacks. Look again at what did not work, what did not stay, what did not fully form. There is protection hidden inside those moments, and the more you see it, the more your perspective will shift from fear to trust. But stay with me, because if you were protected this carefully before, it leads to something even more important now. What has changed in this moment that is about to move you out of delay and into something different? Now that you can see how you were protected, you are ready to understand something that has already begun to shift. The season you have been in, the one marked by delay, confusion, and repeated resistance, is not continuing in the same way. There is a turning point here, and it is not based on chance. It is based on timing that has finally come into alignment. For a long time, it felt like you were pushing forward without movement, like your efforts were not producing the results they should. You questioned whether you were stuck, whether you were being held back, or whether something was simply not meant for you. But what you could not see was that there were layers being adjusted, both within you and around you, preparing for a moment when movement would no longer be resisted in the same way. This is the difference between stagnation and alignment. Stagnation feels like nothing is happening, but alignment often works beneath the surface before it becomes visible. What felt like stillness was not emptiness. It was preparation. It was timing being arranged in ways you could not yet measure. And now, that timing is changing. You may begin to notice it subtly at first. A sense of clarity where there was once confusion. A decision that suddenly feels easier to make. A path that begins to open without the same level of resistance. This is how acceleration often begins, not with chaos, but with a quiet shift that becomes undeniable as it continues. What once required constant effort will begin to respond with less force. What once felt distant will begin to move closer. What once felt uncertain will begin to settle into clarity. This does not mean everything changes instantly, but it does mean the direction has changed, and that matters more than speed alone. Understand this clearly, my beloved child, the delay you experienced was not wasted time. It was protection and preparation working together until the right moment arrived. If certain things had moved forward earlier, they would not have aligned correctly. If certain doors had opened before now, they would have led you into situations that were not fully ready to support you. So what you experienced as waiting was actually timing being corrected. And now that correction is complete enough for movement to begin. There is also something within you that has shifted. Your awareness has deepened. Your discernment has strengthened. You are not approaching things in the same way you once did, and that internal change is part of what allows external movement to happen safely. This is why the shift is happening now and not before. It is not just about what is around you, it is about who you have become within the process. You are more aware, more grounded, and more aligned than you were when this season first began. So do not carry the mindset of delay into this new moment. Do not expect resistance where movement is now possible. Begin to look differently at what is in front of you, because what once felt blocked is beginning to open. But stay with me, because this turning point is not only about movement. It is about what that movement is leading into. And in the next part, you will begin to see what is actually being prepared for you as this shift continues to unfold. Now that you can sense the shift beginning, you are ready to understand what this movement is actually leading into. This is not random change. This is a promise unfolding, one that touches your life in more than one dimension. What once felt like lack is now being positioned for fulfillment, but you must see it clearly to recognize it as it arrives. The first dimension of this breakthrough begins within you. It is the restoration of inner peace. For so long, your thoughts have carried tension, your emotions have moved between hope and uncertainty, and your spirit has felt the weight of not knowing. But now, something is settling. The noise that once surrounded your decisions is beginning to quiet. You may notice moments where your mind is no longer racing in the same way, where you feel grounded without needing to force it. This peace is not accidental. It is alignment taking place inside you. When inner peace begins to return, it is often the first sign that external things are also preparing to come into order. You are no longer reacting from pressure, but responding from clarity. And that changes everything. The second dimension is clarity of direction. Where you once questioned your next step, you will begin to sense a stronger knowing. Not confusion, not overthinking, but a steady awareness of what feels right and what does not. Decisions that once felt complicated will begin to simplify. You will start to recognize which paths carry alignment and which ones do not require your energy anymore. This clarity will not always come as a loud answer. Sometimes it will feel like a quiet certainty, a sense that you no longer need to chase what does not respond. You will begin to move differently, choosing alignment over urgency, truth over pressure. And as you do, you will notice that what is meant for you does not resist you in the same way. The third dimension is external. This is where relationships, opportunities, and provision begin to reflect what has already shifted within you. Connections that were unclear will either strengthen with honesty or fall away without confusion. New opportunities may begin to appear, not through force, but through alignment. Situations that once felt blocked may begin to open with less resistance. This does not mean everything becomes perfect, but it does mean things begin to move in a way that supports you rather than drains you. What belongs in your life will begin to stay with greater stability. What does not belong will separate more clearly, without the same emotional struggle. So you move from lack into fulfillment, not by chasing more, but by aligning with what is already being prepared. But listen carefully, because this promise is not something you passively wait for. There is a response within you that completes the process. You cannot carry old patterns into a new alignment and expect the same results to change. Stay with me, because the next step is not about what is coming toward you, but about what must shift within you so you can fully receive what has already begun to move in your direction. Now that you understand what is beginning to move toward you, you must also face what can no longer move with you. This is where many hesitate, not because they lack strength, but because attachment can feel safer than the unknown. Yet what is ahead of you cannot fully arrive while certain things still hold on to your energy. Discernment is being sharpened within you now. You are beginning to notice what feels right and what quietly drains you. There are conversations that leave you unsettled, environments that lower your clarity, and connections that no longer feel aligned in the way they once did. This is not meant to create fear or judgment, but awareness. Awareness allows you to choose alignment over attachment. Attachment says hold on, even when it hurts. Alignment says release what no longer carries truth. And this is the tension you have been feeling. Part of you has already outgrown certain spaces, certain patterns, even certain people, but another part of you has been trying to maintain what is familiar. You must understand this, my beloved child, not everything that once fit your life is meant to remain in your next season. Growth creates separation. Not as punishment, but as preparation. When you step into greater clarity, anything built on confusion begins to stand out. This does not always happen in obvious ways. Sometimes it appears as distance, a natural pulling away without conflict. Sometimes it comes through repeated misunderstandings that no longer resolve the same way. And sometimes it is revealed through a deep inner knowing that something is no longer meant for you, even if it once was. Letting go does not mean you are losing something valuable. It means you are making space for what is truly aligned to remain. When you hold on to what is no longer right for you, you delay what is trying to reach you. But when you release with trust, you create room for what supports your growth and your peace. Boundaries will become important in this process. Not harsh walls, but clear decisions about what you allow to stay connected to your energy. You are not required to explain every change or justify every choice. Alignment does not need approval to be valid. And still, there may be moments of hesitation. You may wonder if you are letting go too soon, or if you are misreading what you feel. But listen closely to your spirit. It does not rush, and it does not confuse. When something is no longer aligned, there is a quiet consistency in that knowing. This is how you recognize what needs to be released. Not through fear, not through pressure, but through clarity that remains steady over time. What drains you repeatedly, what creates confusion instead of peace, what pulls you away from your center instead of grounding you, these are the things revealing themselves. You are not being asked to force separation. You are being invited to allow truth to reveal it. So do not cling to what is already loosening its hold. Do not chase what is no longer meeting you with the same clarity. Trust what you are sensing, even if it feels unfamiliar. But stay with me, because as this separation begins to unfold, something else will become clearer. In the next moments, you will begin to see the signs that confirm this shift, and you will understand exactly what to watch for in the immediate time ahead. As this separation begins to create space around you, the next phase will not arrive in silence. It will come with signals, gentle at first, but clear enough for you to recognize if you remain present. The next 48 to 72 hours are not ordinary. They are a window where awareness must replace distraction, where attention becomes your greatest guide. You are not being asked to search anxiously for signs, but to notice what naturally draws your attention. There will be moments when something repeats, a word, a phrase, a thought that returns without force. This is not coincidence. Repetition is often how clarity begins to surface when your mind is ready to receive it. Pay attention to your inner responses. You may feel a sudden calm in a situation that once caused stress, or an unexpected discomfort in something that used to feel normal. These shifts are not random. They are adjustments within your discernment, helping you recognize what is aligned and what is not. Your dreams may also carry meaning during this time. Not every detail, but the feeling they leave behind. A sense of peace, a sense of warning, or a sense of release. Do not dismiss what stays with you after you wake. Your spirit continues to process and reveal what your conscious mind has not yet fully understood. There may also be encounters, conversations that seem simple on the surface but carry deeper confirmation. Someone may say something that answers a question you did not speak out loud. A situation may unfold that reflects exactly what you have been sensing internally. These are not accidents. They are alignment showing itself through your environment. This is where the contrast becomes clear. When you are unaware, everything feels random, disconnected, easy to overlook. But when you are aware, patterns begin to reveal themselves. Guidance becomes visible. Direction becomes easier to follow. So remain steady. Do not rush to interpret everything immediately. Let things unfold. What is meant to confirm will become clearer with time, not more confusing. Truth does not create chaos within you, it settles something, even if it challenges you at first. And here is something important, the sign you are looking for will not need to convince you through force. It will resonate. It will align with what you have already been sensing deep within. It will feel like recognition, not pressure. You may feel a shift in your body when it happens. A release of tension, a quiet knowing, or a sense that something has finally made sense. This is how confirmation arrives, not by overwhelming you, but by bringing you into alignment with what is already true. So stay aware in these coming hours. Notice what repeats, what settles, what gently draws your attention without confusion. Because the sign that confirms this message is for you is already forming, and in the next moments, you will begin to recognize it in a way that cannot be easily ignored. Now that you have seen the signs and felt the shift drawing closer, this is the moment where everything moves from observation into activation. Up until now, you have been receiving, discerning, and understanding. But there comes a point where you must respond, because alignment is not only recognized, it is agreed with. Do not remain passive here. Do not simply listen and move on. This is where your voice, your intention, and your willingness come into agreement with what has already begun to move toward you. So take a slow breath, and allow yourself to become present. Let your thoughts settle for a moment. You are not rushing into anything, you are stepping into alignment with clarity and intention. Now, begin to speak within yourself, or out loud if you can. I am not stuck. I am being aligned. What felt like delay was preparation, and I now receive the clarity that comes with it. I release confusion, and I welcome understanding. I am protected in ways I cannot always see, and I trust the protection that surrounds me. No interference meant to harm me will take hold in my life. What is not aligned with my purpose is being removed, and I allow that process without fear. Pause for a moment and let those words settle. This is not repetition without meaning. This is activation. Every word you agree with shifts something within you, even if you cannot yet fully measure it. Continue. I choose peace over pressure. I choose clarity over confusion. I choose alignment over attachment. What is meant for me will not pass me by. What is not meant for me will not remain. I am open to receive what is now moving toward me. Now stay with me, because this is where you bring your spirit fully into agreement through prayer. Father, I come before you with an open heart. You see what I have carried, what I have questioned, and what I have been trying to understand. I ask for your covering to remain over me. Strengthen my discernment so I recognize what is aligned and what is not. Remove anything that does not belong in my path, even if I do not fully understand it yet. Give me peace where there has been tension, clarity where there has been confusion, and courage where there has been hesitation. I trust that you are guiding me, even in moments when I cannot see the full picture. I trust that what is leaving my life is making space for what is meant to stay. And I trust that what is coming toward me is aligned with your purpose for me. Let your protection remain over my mind, my decisions, and my direction. Let no distraction pull me away from what I am meant to step into now. Amen. Stay in this moment just a little longer. Notice what you feel. You may sense a quiet calm, a lightness, or even a subtle shift in your awareness. That is not imagined. That is what happens when agreement replaces resistance. You have just moved from passivity into activation. You have aligned your thoughts, your words, and your spirit with what is already unfolding. But stay with me, because something important follows this. When you come into agreement like this, it does not remain only within you. It begins to connect you with others who are also aligning in the same way. And in the next part, you will understand why that connection matters more than you realize, and what begins to shift when many come into agreement together. Now that you have spoken those words and brought yourself into alignment, something important has already begun within you. But you must understand, alignment is not only personal, it is also collective. What you have just stepped into does not isolate you, it connects you. For a long time, it may have felt like you were carrying things alone. Your thoughts, your questions, your silent prayers, all held within you without knowing who else could truly understand. That is where isolation tries to keep you, quiet, uncertain, and disconnected. But connection changes that. When you respond to this message, even in a simple way, you are not just interacting with content. You are agreeing. You are anchoring what you have received into action. Something as small as leaving a word, a simple amen, or even sharing what you felt in this moment becomes a declaration that you are not remaining passive. So if this message reached you, do not ignore that impulse. Let your agreement be visible. It is not for approval, it is for alignment. When you express it, you reinforce what has already begun within you. And when you choose to stay connected, to return, to remain aware of what is being spoken into your life, you strengthen that alignment over time. This is why continuing with this space matters, not as obligation, but as consistency. What you feed your attention shapes your direction. If you feel led, you can also support this message reaching others. Not because you are required to, but because there are others who are in the same place you were, searching for clarity, needing reassurance, waiting for something to confirm what they have been sensing. Sharing is not just an action, it is an extension of alignment. And for those who choose to go deeper, any form of support or community involvement is simply that, support. It is never about earning what has already been given freely. It is about standing with others who are also choosing clarity, protection, and growth in their lives. You are not meant to walk this path alone. Something shifts when many come into agreement at the same time. There is a strengthening, a reinforcement, a clarity that becomes more visible when it is shared. What feels uncertain alone begins to feel confirmed together. So do not remain silent if something within you has responded. Let that response take form. Because what happens next is not just about your individual alignment, but about what unfolds when many hearts and minds begin to move in the same direction at the same time, and that is what you are about to understand. Now as you remain in this moment, after everything you have heard and felt, allow yourself to settle into something deeper than urgency. What began as a warning is now becoming peace. What once stirred concern is now being covered with assurance. You are not leaving this message in fear, you are leaving it in alignment. My beloved child, receive this blessing with an open heart. May your mind be quieted where it has been restless. May every racing thought be brought into stillness, and may clarity replace every question that once carried confusion. Where there was pressure, let there now be peace. Where there was doubt, let there now be steady knowing. You are not unprotected. You are not unseen. You are not walking through this season without guidance. There is a covering over your life that has remained even when you did not recognize it, and that covering continues now. May your path be made clearer with each step you take. Not all at once, but enough for you to move forward with confidence instead of hesitation. May what is meant for you find you without struggle, and may what is not meant for you gently fall away without taking your peace with it. Let your heart be steady. Let your spirit be grounded. Let your awareness remain open to what is unfolding around you. You do not need to force anything into place. You are not required to carry what is no longer yours. You are allowed to walk forward with trust. And in moments where fear tries to return, where old thoughts attempt to pull you back into uncertainty, remember what has been revealed to you here. Fear speaks in urgency without direction, but peace speaks with quiet certainty. Choose the voice that brings you back into alignment. You are not alone in this. Even now, there is guidance surrounding you, protection covering you, and a path forming ahead of you. Stay aware in the coming days. Stay open to the signs, the shifts, and the confirmations that will continue to unfold. What you have stepped into is not a single moment, it is the beginning of something that will reveal itself in layers. And this is what you must hold on to as you move forward. This is not the end of the message. This is the beginning of understanding it. What unfolds next will not only confirm what you have felt, it will reveal a deeper purpose that has been forming around your life all along.